Okay. Hey everyone. This is just going to be a ramble basically. I've got a strange amber liquid here. Smiling Friends got canceled. It didn't get canceled. They can't the showrunners canceled it. And a lot more people cared about this than I thought would. I'm on TikTok and I was seeing a lot of people post about this, people that looked pretty normal, people that did not look like, Oni Plays fans or like typical like adult animation fans. I don't know. I think the show ended up crossing over in a way that not a lot of people expected. And a lot of people really were glazing this show for a long time, which, it was good. It was good. And I just want to talk about it now that it's over. There's two more episodes, but it's so over. And we'll, just think about the reasons this happened and think about what it means. And also talk about some of the reactions people have been having, which I think, on the whole, have been, what you'd expect when something beloved, I guess we could use that word for this, something beloved ends and ends unexpectedly. People essentially mourning the end of the show. And then on the flip side, some people being mad or like kind of lashing out at Zach and at Michael, the showrunners, for, I get maybe not for ending the show as an act, but for ending the show because they were, quote, burned out, unquote, after making 3 seasons of a show, which, in their opinion, is not enough to say that you are burned out. And maybe maybe that's true. A lot of shows run. Normally, when a show runs for 1, 2, or 3 seasons and then is over, like there's only a couple, cases of that where either one, it gets canceled, um, two, it was meant to end at that point. Like I think about like Andor, Star Wars show was meant to end at season 2. That's how it was planned. Um, and was there a third case? I don't know if there's a third case. I guess this, which is they just kind of ran out of ideas. Um, and I don't think that's too uncharitable to say is what happened. They didn't want the show to start sucking. They didn't want to run it into the ground. They didn't want to. They made, and I think this is my opinion on why they canceled the show, is if you watched Smiling Friends, they take a jab at The Simpsons in that show. What does Pim say? Like, after 238 seasons, they've still got it. And if you watch Oni Plays, or like, I don't know, the freaking Create Unknown episode they were on, or even like the Very Positive Stream, um, like they constantly joke about shows that went on for way too long, and like constantly are talking about like which season is the best, like how many gags, how many times has Zach on Only Plays talked about like, oh yeah, some fake show where it's like, oh, you watch basically to season 1 through 3, then skip season 4 through like 8 or 9, and then keep going, and then it gets really good. And I think they were afraid of their show becoming like that, becoming one of the shows that people talk about like that. Um, and were so anxious about that they chose instead not to have a show airing anymore. Not even to, I don't know. Obviously, they know better than us what the quality of seasons 4 and 5, those new greenlit seasons, would have been. So maybe they were really bad. I don't know. Maybe they got in the writer's room and started writing and it just wasn't working out at all. We can only speculate. But that's what makes me sort of cross when I read or read some of the comments that were like, why are they canceling it? Like, I can't believe they're burnt out after, simultaneously mad that they're canceling the show and that there won't be any more of the show, and also mad that they're saying they're burnt out and that they don't have any more material they think is good enough. Like, if you're mad that the show is ending, like, you want more of the show, are you then implicitly saying that you don't mind if it's bad? You just want to have it continue? And I think that's not good. You shouldn't live like that. I think I want to make a video about this on this channel at a later time, about like just the theory of mind of someone who like is kind of feels entitled to an endless supply of entertainment and content, and doesn't like when things end, doesn't like when a franchise does not go on, because there are so many franchises nowadays and everything has been rebooted, that like we have this understanding that things will just go on forever, and we assume that they will, when it's important for things to end, I think. And I think that the ending is one of the most important parts of a story. And obviously Smiling Friends is not going to have an ending. That's what they said in their announcement. Like, the 2 more episodes that are coming out are not going to have, an air of finality to them. But I don't know. I think on principle, it's better to end something before it gets stale and leave people wanting more. That way, obviously, like, if they come up with a new show, which, like, I think the odds are pretty good that they'll collaborate on another show, and I'm sure it'll get, spotlit by Adult Swim again, because, like, I think they're the only 2 guys who really wanted to cancel it, you know what I mean? Like, they got 2 more seasons greenlit. Everyone was wanting more of the show. To a lot of people, it was only just getting off the ground. And, there was no... I don't think there was any, voice from the studio meddling, or producers or whatever, saying, like, we're going to cancel you. People aren't watching, because, of course, they were. Like, the show was a big shot in the arm for Adult Swim, I think, right? Where was I going with that? I don't remember. But I think it's mostly a matter of yeah. I mean, I've seen some people joke about, like, they saw that the fan base was becoming like Rick and Morty, and they had to shut that down. I hope they don't keep texting me. Hold on. Can I change that? Oh, boy. I'm going to have to cut this out. Oh, Lord. Can I go on Do Not Disturb? Yes, I can. Okay. It's been done. I should have done that before I started recording, but I just had to get this out there. Now, if you're a Smiling Friends fan and you're feeling a little sad, I don't blame you. If you love a show and it ends unexpectedly, that kind of sucks. I would prescribe you to watch Oni Plays and watch the Very Positive stream, because I think the people that have watched those know that, like, 60% of the funniest jokes on Smiling Friends are directly taken from episodes of Oni Plays and the Very Positive stream. Like, I don't want to list them out, but it's true. And yeah, what else was I even trying to talk about? I don't know. I think my own personal thoughts on the show is that I'm really glad that it existed. I mean, that's again like my franchise brain, Zoomer brain going on. It exists. You can go back and watch those texts. They still exist, and they will. ad infinitum until, all physical media is gone and they delete the servers, which could be in 20 minutes from now. I don't know. Anyway, but, it exists. And I'm glad that it did. And I'm glad that these dudes had this opportunity to, like, get so much exposure and, like, so many people appreciating the way they write and the way they do comedy and stuff. I think is pretty cool because they were niche for a long time. But I don't think it's, like, peak. Like, it's good, but it doesn't make me Rafflecopter, Maybe because I've heard some of the jokes before on, like, Oni Plays or something, but, like, I don't know. It's novel, and it's got funny parts in it. I think that the guys on the show, the showrunners, that's really loud, realize that, like, I don't know, they might have actually been running out of ideas. Because they said they were cutting the show off before it deteriorated in quality. And I think, to a small extent, it already kind of was. Do you know what I mean? I think they kind of were repeating ideas now and again and had sort of not gotten the hang as much of the basic premise of the show as maybe they had wanted to, which is, like, if you master the art of, like, making a weird, funny character and then having them be made to smile, which is the structure of the show, basically. If you can master that, then you can go in perpetuity for, 28 seasons or however many The Simpsons are on or whatever. And they kind of went away from riffing on that in the episodes and had other topics, which were not bad, but yeah, in some of the episodes, like, especially in the third season, there was a lot of, like, complete non sequitur endings that it's like, what's the one where they start worshiping the guy at the end for no reason, and like, that's what makes him smile, and it has nothing to do with anything that happened in the rest of the episode. And I get that non sequiturs are a joke in themselves, but it seemed like, at least in the first season and in the second season a bit, like, those weren't usually connected in some way to, like, the A plot or the B plot of the episode. I'm not a screenwriter, but get some ASMR here. Stipple, stipple, stipple. In any case, I'd like to know what you guys think. People were overglazing this show for a bit. I have to say, I saw that video, and maybe they were more measured in their praise, but there is that video about the show that's called Smiling Friends is Painfully Funny. And that was like a year or two ago that was made. You have to beware that kind of praise, I think. Because that's like, it's great to love something, but, like, people love upholding something as, like, this does everything right. And Smiling Friends did a lot right. But I don't know. I don't think it did everything right. It's not perfect. It's not peak. It's good, though. And there are moments in it that I would describe as peak. But, yeah. Now it's done. And I'm just looking forward to what they will do next. And Zach's gonna be back on Oni Plays, baby! I don't know. I don't actually think that's true. But yeah. I think that's most of what I had to say. I don't take out your frustration on them for them canceling the show. For all we know, it could have gone way downhill. And I think it's true about the fan base reasoning insofar as they didn't want to have a fan base that defended their show even as they felt that it was going downhill. You know what I mean? Like, there will always be a portion of the fan base that defends the product, even if it's dog water. And you could see that contingent of the Smiling Friends fans forming. So I do think they cut it off before that, before it, I don't know, became their domain, if you know what I mean. And do I think it was a little rushed? I don't know. I don't think season 3 was as good as season 1. But I don't think it would have. I don't know if it would have continued that way. Again, I was not in the room with them writing it, but do I think it was maybe a knee-jerk decision to basically act principled and avoid any chance of to stop it before anyone ever even mentioned that it might be deteriorating quality, before that thought even reared its head? I don't know. In the dark corners of the subreddit, it did rear its head, but don't ask me how I know that. I don't know. They did. I mean, the show was very young, and the seasons were relatively short. But I don't know. I think you can be burnt out after making 3 seasons of a show, even if it's silly and the episodes are 10 minutes each and all of that. I think you can be burnt out. You can be burnt out after making 1 season of a show. You know what I mean? Like, freaking, I don't know. Animation's hard. I don't know how hard animation is as opposed to, like, a syndicated television thing, but like, what if you made 1 season of True Detective? That's like 6 or 7, damn it, episodes, and maybe it's 8. I don't remember, but look at that waveform when I said 6, 7. I think you could be burnt out after 1 season of True Detective if you made that. So they made 3 seasons of a show. I don't know, like, what are we afraid of? Like, nobody get on the Citizen app and track my location because of that. Please, God. But what are we afraid of? Being like, oh, dude, Justin Roiland was able to make 6 seasons of the show. All right, he power scales crazy, compared to them. Who care? Who care? We got 3 seasons of a show that seemed like 98% of people absolutely loved, and now it's done, and you can watch it whenever you want. Yeah. And the 2 remaining episodes, I don't know, maybe they'll be the best ones ever. They probably won't be. But maybe they will. Yeah. I just think we should be a little kinder. I don't know. And who knows how, like, not imminent, but who knows how much, time, like, the animators and the whole team, the crew on the show had to react to this information, right? I don't know at all. People were kind of complaining about that as well. But, I mean, they gave them work for 5 years. They're not entitled to pay, the living of a whole entire team of animators. I mean, look, I as much as anyone, I think, mourn that, animation and game design and jobs like this are being kind of taken over in a bad way and, like, outsourced in a bad way and all this stuff. But, what's the point of, like, oh, they're making a living making a bad show? I think, what happened to, like, if you're gonna do something, do it right? You know what I mean? There's some work that's, like, not worth doing. And if the show is gonna be bad, if you're making a bad product, then it's like, yeah, it's heckin' Wholesome 100 that you're heckin' employing the Wholesome Chungus animators, but, if you're making something that's bad, I don't know. And I don't know if it would have been bad, maybe it just would have been mid, but those are my thoughts. I'm still a big fan of these guys, and they should go back to making the very positive stream. That would be a lot of fun. Um, yeah. Rest in peace to Smiling Friends. Long live Smiling Friends!